So sometimes we have people ask us questions like, do you feel like this is like a dream or a fairy tale kind of moment in life?
Yeah, in a lot of ways it's a good question because, you know, from the outside you could look at what we're doing and there's a lot of dreamlike elements. We've got a flower, we've got a rose that's named after our chateau.
That is cool.
We're living in a French castle.
I know.
It's incredibly beautiful. You know, you walk around the outside and it's a dream.
Well, and inside you got beautiful marble fireplaces and beautiful old paintings and amazing high ceilings that are fantastic. Beautiful old chandeliers. It's all just lovely.
And again, sometimes magical sunsets. And
if there ever was a place on earth that would fulfill any dog's dreams, this property definitely would take the cake for that.
It's Bingley's fairy tale. 25 acres for him to run and chase birds and bark. And and again, 20 college students there that love and adore him and pet him.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so many fun things. Whether it's going to Angers for shopping or a picnic, the beautiful city. Or the other day I went on a bike ride and I went for a couple of kilometers, 2-3 kilometers. You know, I saw wheat fields. There's an orchard. That's our gate from the back. Mm-hmm. There's an orchard outside where the sunflowers with the first chateau. That's a bit of a farm chateau, a kilometer. Yeah. And then you keep going and a little bit later you see this cool farmhouse with the tower. Mm-hmm. Right across the street, another chateau. Mm-hmm. It's incredible, France.
It is. That's just down the road.
I know. The other day we came home from Angers, we took a different route and we ran into 3 or 4 more chateaux. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. Mm-hmm. And so it makes total sense that it could be a dream. I mean, in a lot of ways, our house is, you know, it's been on postcards.
It has for years.
Check this out.
Right from the beginning, when we first saw the Grifferaie for sale, when I Googled it, I started seeing old photos of the house from different eras and different times, which I absolutely love. It not only gives us context of what the house looked like before we had it, but it also gives us context of stuff that isn't here now that we can see that used to exist. And we just love them. So now that we're here in France, before when we were at home in North America, we would find them on eBay or wherever. But now when we're at the Brocons, they have these little booths where they have all the different departments in France. And you can go to your own little section and look up Eshmir Boget. And we've been finding a bunch of different cool postcards of the house and also Eshmir and Boget, where we live.
And this is the one we found, $3. Isn't that something? You can buy a postcard of your house for $3.
Can I just say something? So see right there, there are doors down there under the terrace, which I would love to recreate someday that I didn't know existed before. They're not there now. Also,
you pointed out too, the spelling.
Oh yeah, this one is the first one we've ever seen spelled with an AY, which is usually sort of the English spelling that I see sometimes from other linens and stuff that I've had here. Usually it's always the AIE, which is probably the French way. So maybe it was an English photographer. I don't know. But not everything is a beautiful dream when you own a chateau.
Yeah, we run into all kinds of problems. And so for this video, we actually got some really cool shots of different things we've come up against. And this will be a great one if you're thinking about buying a chateau, to just kind of get a realistic appraisal of what it's like. Because sometimes it's a dream, but honestly, there's a lot of reality behind it. Sometimes it's mystery problems. So you never know what to expect when you buy a chateau. We just heard a big crash and we're walking around, we're like, uh-oh, that's not good. We're walking around the house.
It was a big swoosh.
It was like...
It sounded like water.
And so we come in here and...
Watch your feet.
Apparently this shower wall just broke and crashed.
You can hear it.
And continues to fall.
Shatter, actually.
Now, we have no idea why. We're on the other side of the house. You can only think it's something about the house shifting, but I still don't know how that would happen because at least the top is not really connected to anything, just the bottom here. Very interesting. It is raining outside, so we have another mystery. It's like you think you know what you're gonna do for the day, and then something comes up. Welcome to the life of owning a chateau.
Sometimes it's human error.
only a few days ago, we were sitting downstairs and heard another crash, but not the shower this time. No, this time I came up and we saw this. And basically what you're seeing there is a door with a massive broken window. Yeah, we have huge windows in the house, and so if you don't chain them open, they slam, and then when they slam, the glass all breaks.
Yeah. So sometimes it's structural issues.
We're installing the new bed, and since, you know, these French antiques are they're not always the sturdiest. You know, a lot of times we have to add a little bit of wood and some supports. So I'm adding the supports, I'm putting it together, and then I start leaning on it. All of a sudden, boom, it goes down. I'm like, oh, I broke it, rats. But then I take a closer look, and I see that the leg went right through the hardwood. What? Yeah, that's not what you want to see. So I went downstairs and got a better look at it. When you look at the roof, it looks like most of the room underneath is pretty solid. You got those big beams looking pretty straight, and then you've got those branches, and then the cement. Now there are a couple exceptions. Look, there's a little bit falling through there. But generally pretty good. However, we go into this room. Let's zoom back out. And you can see they've done some work here, and either they've taken out or the branches have fallen out over time. And so some of that wood's just sitting there. Like this is directly under the sink in the bathroom we just did. So there's not a lot of weight going there. That's good news. But as we come over, you can see that's exactly the piece that fell through. Now, what's crazy about this to me is that if you look up here, I'm gonna climb the stairs a little bit. You can see that, like that's a cement wall. Now it's only 3 inches thick, but there was basically nothing under it. So it's just sitting, yeah, there's Leslie's hand. And you can also see this piece of wood that's holding it up is super eaten. Plus it's not connected to the beams right now. So it's not actually even touching.
That's not cool. Did you find the piece of hardwood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the good news is gonna be super easy to fix. We just need to put like whatever, a 6-inch piece of wood across these beams right at the right place. And that will be, you know, completely fixed. But ridiculous. See, it touches there, but then here, there's no contact. It's just like floating free. So that's very troubling. My day just changed. You think you're going into a job and it won't be too bad, and then all of a sudden something happens like this and you're like, okay, new plan. In some ways, it's kind of rewarding when you find something that's like an obvious problem and you're like, okay, well that makes sense why this isn't working. So there's metal into that beam, but look at this. Yeah, so some of these beams we just need to change this one out for sure. So we'll get some wood up there. It's really not so bad when something breaks when you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, that's why it broke. This is a piece of hardwood that came out. And there was clues, right? You can see that the worms have been in there, but then you open it up, you cut off a piece and you're like, wow, that was like an apartment complex for termites. So, you know, not all the wood in the Chateau is like that, but there are definitely spots. So we got some new wood in there. It's secured. I mean, there was a bunch of reasons it broke. For one thing, that's the whole piece. It's like this big. It was a little end piece, and it wasn't supported. There was no beam under it. So, you know, the whole weight of the one corner of the bed is sitting on that little piece that has nothing under it. And yeah, it snaps off. So anyways, it might seem discouraging to some of you when you look at this, but honestly, when you look at a problem and you're kind of like, okay, that makes sense. I get that problem. I see why that happened. Then you're kind of like, it's really not so bad. So we've fixed it a little bit. We've put a beam across. So I put a beam across the whole span, so all those are protected. Because you see all those little short cutoffs there? They're all probably super weak. So we put wood all the way across, and now that should be quite a bit safer.
Sometimes it's humidity. So remember when we got back in February and things were peeling everywhere? Well, my one little area over here decided that there was too much water and it wanted to repel paint. So I've started peeling off the paint. I did the bottom section, I scraped it all and then started filling, and then we just set up the scaffolding, and now we're ready for the top 2/3.
Much better. Yeah, somehow this one's held up a lot better. It might be there's less water in the wall.
It might be, so I used a full base primer on both walls, but this one was in worse shape when I redid it. And so I was much more generous with the primer and it seems to have held up well. Yeah, that or the weather on this side of the house
Who knows?
was less. I don't know, but we'll go fix it.
Sometimes it's accidents.
We're in the basement, and this is going to be one of the grad intern rooms. We started priming it and filling it, some of the problems. And this is one of those little jobs that we wanted to do forever, but you just don't get around to. This window has been closed the whole time we've been here, probably because there's some broken glass in there. So we're gonna open it up and get that glass fixed. And this room, which is already not too bad for brightness, you know, good window there, got a skylight here, is gonna be even better. Really, you're gonna have light coming from 4 sides, so pretty good for a basement, 9-foot ceiling. And here we go. Let's see what we see. Bar is off, and woo, we see several that are broken. That is unfortunate. That one will be easy. That one will be easy. This one, a little bit harder. It's not quite flat. How about this side? Let's see if we can get over here and see this. Nope. Okay, so that's great. Look at this. You got beautiful, if you can see through the window. Oh, I can't get it open quite yet. Look at this. Beautiful roses outside the bars. Nice look at the all green, hugely bright room. You know, again, you got this window too, which there's the mower, but you know, big, huge trees, absolutely beautiful. Rose bushes. Yeah, this is a really nice room for being in the basement. We just have to cover up some of those wires up there. And then probably eventually we'll have to do something to the floor. Well, maybe not, we'll see what Leslie wants. But this room will be great. Okay, so this is going great. We already got one done. Now, we got 3 window panes for $18. They apparently were out of the thin glass, so we had to do 5mm, which is a little thicker than I'd like. And maybe you're sitting there thinking, why is that thin? Or why is thick bad? Well, I mean, the old one is about 2mm, super, super thin, and that breaks really easy. So 3 is better. 4 is, to me, optimum. 5 starts to get a bit heavy. Sometimes it's just too much weight for the window. So personally, I like 4, but 3 is okay as well. But yeah, you just cut it out, put the new one in there, a little caulking, and this is going to be great. This room will be fantastic. Well, that was traumatic. I was up fixing the glass, and I thought, I needed to get up a little higher, so I stood up to the top of the ladder. All of a sudden the ladder broke, which I've been on a ladder before when it breaks. You know, in the movies, you have time to go catch something or swing something, but in real life, when a ladder breaks, it goes straight down and you go with it. But I did have about 1 second to think this could be bad. Unfortunately, I landed on the fireplace, and the fireplace is no more. That is unfortunate. And I have not yet found my glasses. They may also be no more. But I think all the bones are still in place. Toes are straight, no blood. So thank you, Lord, for protecting me. It serves me right for using an old ladder. I knew this was a bad ladder. You know, it was already bent, so I should have been smarter, and I shouldn't have used it. I should have thrown it out, but especially being a big dude too, right? But happily, I'm okay. The window remains 1/3 done. Back to work.
Sometimes it's the rain.
All right, well, we're heading back to the United States very soon, and so there's a couple jobs that you need to do to make sure they're cleaned up. Now, I'm up here in the attic, and I noticed a couple things. First of all, that's a lot of light I'm seeing right there. You can see that at some point someone cut a hatch, and then they made the wood really thin, but that means that it's bending a bit. And look at that, yeah. So I gotta reinforce that before we go. because you'd hate for this whole thing to fall down and then you got water pouring into your house. Same thing on this side. Now here's the good news. See that? Definitely bending in, not cool. So thanks for cutting that piece of wood out, somebody. Anyways, we're gonna get some wood in there to strengthen that because that whole thing is sagging and that is not okay. Now, good news, I saw a video from about 4 years ago and it was already sagging then, so it's not a new problem. And anytime you have an old problem, that's good because it's a little bit more stable, but we're gonna go do that. Also, we're gonna check out these huge, or very high gutters that we have up here. I'm gonna go make sure that they're clear so we don't have a lot of water running into the house. So you've seen me go up here before, up into the attic. This area has more pigeons than before. And so this will be the first area that we're going to re-roof if we ever get some quotes back from our roofers. So I got the panels open, one on that side, one on that side, and we're gonna go and clear it. Now you gotta be real careful because you don't wanna fall through that roof. So I'm walking really careful. And you also don't wanna break your roof. Got my pail here and I'm ready to go do some cleaning. Okay, so here we are, looking out the roof. See, we got missing a shingle there. This one's not too bad, but we're gonna clear it out because we gotta make sure that that stays open. Now I noticed just as I was working, I think we got a couple babies. And they're just staying real quiet. I feel bad that I'm so close to them, but I gotta get this work done. So hopefully their mama will not attack me and I will not touch them. All right, so this is going good. By the way, man, look, time for the roofers to come again, isn't it? Yeah, it's time, but this is looking good. We got it all cleared out and it's ready for us to put the hatch back in. Okay, we did it. We got them all clear. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but you know, you keep pushing away and then eventually you get it. Super cool up here, but I can't wait for it all to be redone. I'd love it to be, you know, dry and safe and secure. Hopefully by next year.
Sometimes it's animals.
So we left the windows open a little bit too long tonight. We got about 6 bats in the house. So you just try to segment it. Well, I think it just went out. You just try to turn all the lights on and segment the house off and open up a big window and let them go out. And I think we just got them. Woot woot.
Sometimes it's just our own ignorance.
Every once in a while you make a move that's just embarrassing. Like for example, here we are in the landing, beautiful room. Need to work on that ceiling, but a beautiful room, but dark, and not one electrical outlet in the entire landing. We got some of the blinds closed. It's really hot today. So we have a light in there, but really it's hard to plug it in without running an extension cord. So we'd have students that would hang out here all the time and try to play, and it gets darker and darker at night in there. And it's just so dark. So we thought, well, let's get a light. And we found this great one, as we mentioned, for €100 in a brocante in Angers. Fantastic, gotta get a chain. And Leslie likes it because it captures the style of our lantern here, which is sort of in the same space. So you have two lanterns, which is great. So we go up there and sure enough, there's a hook, but the closer we look, we just cannot find electrical anywhere. And we're like, well, there's no electrical wire. So how on earth do you power it? So we're looking at the lights and we see this guy and we're like, okay, well, that's him. Sure, and then we're like, well, what's this guy? And we keep pushing the button. The bottom one is a timed light on the back. So that's great, but it only stays on for a couple of minutes. I'm like, what's this? And so after 2 years, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it took us 2 years to realize that there were pictures hanging up on those walls, and behind the pictures were electrical outlets. So now we need better bulbs, but don't judge us on those. But now we took the pictures down and we have a couple sconces. So now the students will have light in this room. It only took us 2 years to figure that out.
And sometimes it's just a mechanical breakdown.
Okay, friends, so here we have the situation where this tank is completely full and its neighbor is, only a quarter full still. mostly empty. So these two are not communicating, and no doubt there's a way to fix this, and we'll hire somebody to fix it. But for now, we need to get the gas from one side to the other because it's drawing from this side. And so we don't want to just leave this 2,500 liters, you know, not used. May as well get it over to the side where it's being used. So, good news. We have a little gas unit here to put the heating oil. So we turn on this little motor, and what I'm going to try to do, and I saw the real guy do this, is he took off those back two, and then the gas feeds from this guy. And what I'll do is I'll just put it into this one, and so I'll just push the thing, and hopefully we'll pull from here and it pull from this one and go into that one. So on paper, it makes total sense. We'll see what happens. Now, when you own a chateau, sweeping is really your friend because you can see what's falling down. For example, there seems to be some issues there. This is at the base of the stairs in the grand entry, and I don't know if that's been there forever or just recently, but now that I've swept it, if more stuff accumulates, I know I got a problem. And of course we had the big leak, so our guy was nice enough to put down this substance that picks up all the oil, but it's time to get that swept up and cleaned out. So 67 liters moved, it's going good. Les is helping me. We took this guy off, and you can see, well, you can maybe see.
You can see on this side.
You can't see it going down, but you can see over here.
Over here you can.
There you go.
We're not at half.
No, we're doing good. Okay, so 30 minutes later or so, this one's way down to like about where my foot is. And this one here is up to about here. It's hard to see it, but we're almost full. 1,600 liters so far.
Sometimes it's design flaws.
So Leslie wanted a hose hooked up at the back door here. And so I did, I hooked it up. Right there it is, there's the hook. And there is the switch right over the electrical panel. I mean, why wouldn't you put a water switch and water pipe directly over an electrical panel? You know, with wet hands turning it on and off. I mean, what could go wrong there, right? Yeah.
Sometimes it's mistakes.
So we're under the terrace. You can see there's open air to the outside, so it's good for ventilation. Terrace is up there. And then you can see at one point they have blocked off this so they could use it as a walk-in freezer, which is great, except that basically they created a cave, which is always wet because the terrace leaks down and then it just stays there, sits there musty. So I'm gonna cut, I don't wanna mess with it. I like the structural integrity of the concrete, so I'm not gonna cut it all out, but I am gonna cut a little bit of a vent towards the bottom so that air can flow. We can always seal it up again if we wanna use it as a walk-in freezer, but for now, we're gonna get some air going through there.
You know, and then other times everything goes well. But even when that happens, it's still a lot of work.
All right, it's been forever since we've been working on the kitchen. Lots to do still down here, the ceiling, you know, one of the first things. But we're gonna get started on the backsplash today. Very exciting. We have some tiles, and I got about 3 hours here in the afternoon, so I'm gonna try to get them up. And we got the space cleared out. Here we go, and then we can build our backsplash. But I mean, and on top of that, we can not only build the backsplash, but also the big fancy hood. Can't wait. Yeah, so every once in a while, things work out. This took 1 hour. Can you imagine? It fit in perfectly. Now, it probably helps that all four sides are gonna be covered by something. The stoves go over the bottom, and the oven vent is gonna come down over the top and actually run down the sides. But it went really good. It just went in there totally smooth. The tiles were perfect. I had to make a couple of cutouts for power, but other than that, man, it's super fast, 1 hour. Now, maybe you're looking at it and you're thinking, looks like a little bit black and white against the tan, but remember that there's all kinds of other white in this place, including this massive island, and of course, some of the shelves over there. So white is well represented. So people think like the whole chateau life is glamorous, but the truth is, I'm super dirty from like working with the rock and dust falling on my head. And what are you doing over there, Beth?
endless days of washing and ironing bedding.
Yeah, again, we had 20 students, or 23 at the max we had, so
Yep.
that's a lot of sheets. And we do have folks that help us, but then, of course, when the session's gone, they're gone too.
Yep.
And so that just makes for a lot of laundry.
Yep.
And you feel like you need to iron them, I guess.
Well, does this exude beauty?
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's spoken like a man on my part, I guess. But all right, well, anyways, there it is. The glamorous life of the Chateau.
So after you watched all that, you know, all the problems that can happen, all the difficulties you run into, I wonder if you'd still ask us the question, are you living a fairy tale? You might. You might.
It depends what you define as a dream. If a dream is something where you sort of sit back and don't do much, then this dream isn't for you.
No, then we're not living a dream, nor is it a fairy tale. But if your dream is to do something like take on a
Rewarding.
significant project, you know, making an old building beautiful, and then of course with us trying to help out young people and college students, in that sense it is a dream. You know, it's just a hard one. One other thing, this is really exciting. Even though we're back in the States now, we still have more footage. And we found some friends, our friends Nathan and Sarah, and their little one, their newborn, who are staying in our chateau while we're gone. So they're going to keep working on some things and making sure that the chateau is safe and everything's going great. So we're really excited about that and really thankful for them. Also, this is kind of fun. Sometimes the chateau owners do get together, and so a little while back we got an email from Cheryl, who owns the Millant, Chateau Millant, which ironically
Close by.
Yeah, it's close, and she's actually Canadian, which is cool. And she also bought this chateau that we were thinking about buying. We were actually trying to look at, but we couldn't get into. So it's been fun to talk to her. Anyways, they came over the other day. We had a lovely coffee, and then we found out that her daughter is starting a YouTube channel. So we told her we'd plug it. Okay, so here's the plug. You should check this out. I'm putting it on the screen right now, and I don't know if you're into the video games, but even if you're not, she'd probably enjoy a subscription or a view or something like that. That'd be nice. Okay, all right, have a good one. Thanks for watching us.
Unfortunately, I also landed on the fireplace, which broke. Yeah, not so much can be said for the fireplace.